The Niners placed a second round tender on Jauan Jennings. He's going to make $4.63 million under the second round tag.
Mm-hmm.
Does this surprise you at all, Grant? That I mean, Jennings probably would have been the Super Bowl MVP if the Niners had won the game. I mean, he was that good. What do you take off of the second round money they're giving him?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like he only had 19 catches this year. It felt like they phased him out of the offense unfairly because he's good. And I don't know why in the Super Bowl he was, as you said, he was their MVP. If they had given the original round tender, the 7th round tender, I think a team would match it. Trade a 7th round pick for Jauan Jennings? Absolutely. That's a bargain. But you give him the 2nd round tender, I think a team be willing to spend four point whatever on Jauan Jennings this year, but trade a second for him when you could just draft a wide receiver in the 2nd round. I think that pretty much guarantees that he's coming back to the Niners. And if people remember 4 years ago, the Niners were in the same situation with Kendrick Bourne, who was a restricted free agent. It was an undrafted free agent. They gave him the 2nd round tender. He eventually signed it. I think it'll be about a week for teams to decide if they want to match it with Kendrick Bourne. With Jauan Jennings. But I feel like this will probably be his last year with the 49ers.
Are they going to have all 3 of their guys? Do you expect them to have Debo, Ayuk, and Jennings this year?
I do. I thought there might have been a possibility they could trade Ayuk for Brian Burns, but outside of that, I don't really see the Niners trading Brandon Ayuk. And now it seems like they're trying to free up cap space to make this happen.
It's a weird situation. There's been a couple reports. One report was like the Niners are going to sign Ayuk after the wide receiver position kind of reveals itself or the market, I should say, develops in March. But then the Niners are also meeting with guys like J.C. Latham and Fukuoka from Oregon State. Those guys are projected to go in like the top 10, top 15. What do you think that there's a chance that, I don't know, maybe Jefferson winds up getting 33, 34 million, resets the market north of 30, and they just say, you know what? Yeah, publicly we've said we want Brandon, but we were never planning on going to those numbers for him. And we're not going to, and so we're going to trade him. I mean, it's just possible. Weird. It seems weird. Like, why are you waiting for guys who are going to get paid more if you want to pay him less?
It's possible. I mean, what they could do though is, I don't think Justin Jefferson affects Ayuk that much. Justin Jefferson's by far the best wide receiver in the league, and they can sort of wait and see what teams call the Niners during the draft. Like, if Ayuk wants $28 million a year and the Niners want to give him 24, and they're 3-4 million apart, you just wait. It's like, let's see if any team wants to give you $28 million. I'm not sure they will, because Jefferson aside, this is supposed to be a very strong class of wide receivers. So would you rather trade a 1st round pick for Brandon Ayuk and give him all that money, or just draft a wide receiver? A lot of teams might prefer to just draft a wide receiver. So what is Brandon Ayuk's trade value really? Is it a top 15 pick? Is it a top 30 pick? Is it a top 45 pick? Maybe it's a top 45 pick, but I think the strength of this draft class at wide receiver could hurt Brandon Ayuk's value, which could play in the Niners' favor.
That's interesting. Colton McKivitz got signed. Ben Barch got re-signed. Ben
Barch? Stop the presses. Here comes Ben Barch. Is he going to start right guard next year?
Well, he told me he can play center or guard or tackle.
Do it all.
So, maybe he's the jack of all trades. But what did you make of the money that they gave Colton? Do you view that as absolutely he's starting and that's $7 million to be the starter? Because that's a deal. But once again, this is kind of the stated area that needed to be upgraded. Do you think that they're going to upgrade it, or do you think they've done what they're going to do at tackle?
I'd like to see what the structure of the contract looks like next year, but it seems like it's a fairly good bet he's going to be starting at right tackle this year. Trent Williams is going to be 36. Maybe the Niners want to draft an offensive tackle that they can sit on the bench for a year or two and develop, but I don't know. I mean, are you going to develop him at right tackle and play him at left tackle? I think they like McKivitz. I'm going to say it. I think they liked McGlinchey. A lot of people, me included, said McGlinchey's not good enough. The Niners always shot back with, yes, he is. He is more than good enough for what we need. They didn't want to pay him what his market value was, but I think they feel that McKivitz is just McGlinchey at a reasonable price. and they're willing to work around 13 sacks a year that'll give up. And I don't see it. But they love him. He knows the system. Larry, he knows the system, and that's all that really matters.
Well, I mean, are they going to get? I mean, I think they're going to draft at least 2 offensive linemen in this draft, and whether they're drafting him for the future or drafting him for the present, I think they are going to draft a couple offensive linemen. I guess my question would be, do you think there's like another move coming? Like, could McKivitz slide to center and then get rid of Brendel for cap relief, or do you think Brendel's going to be the center and Burford and Feliciano? Maybe it sounds like Lynch wants to re-sign Feliciano. Is Burford and Feliciano going to awkwardly share that right guard spot after what was said? And then is McKivitz going to be the starter at right tackle, and then you just draft maybe young guys behind them? I don't know. I mean, to me, it seems like it should be center, or should be left guard and left tackle settled, and the other 3 spots not settled, and just kind of let's have a competition this summer. But I don't know.
I would agree. That's what it should be. But I think Chris Forster, Kyle Shanahan, I get the feeling they want as much continuity on the offensive line as possible. So my best guess is that Brendel's going to be the starting center week 1. McKivitz is going to be the starting right tackle week 1. And that the right guard spot is the one position on the line that they're looking at potentially bringing in a starter. They could bring back Feliciano, but frankly, they could do better. I mean, Feliciano might be better than Burford right now, but he's not that good. And he's not getting better. So they could go out and sign a better guard, or they could spend a day 2 pick on a guard who can start right away. Someone who actually played right guard in college, not like Aaron Banks, who played left guard at Notre Dame, was drafted to play right guard, and the Niners were like, oh, turns out he can't do it. We'll wait a year, play him at left guard, and now he's good. Get a right guard.